Good morning once again. It's your boy Gentroos, your favorite, your boy Gentroos, the DJ, your favorite podcaster, analyst, economist, business person. I'm here to give you the news feeds and to encourage you as an individual, talking with economics, business, discussing current affairs. I'll be discussing what's currently happening. Um, Iran has currently agreed to open ports, the main port, which is they opened for Chinese and Russia and India, which is these are top countries, like I said on the last podcast. So this is great news for us. And then the US has a ceasefire for now on that side of the port. Have ceasefire, so meaning it's a positive because there's an agreement now that's being reached between the two regime, the US regime and the Iran regime. So the oil prices are starting to go down, and then we see the stocks are performing well today. The S&P 500, the DAX are performing well today. It's due to those factors, and we see France and other 30 states like Spain have started negotiating for trade, and the EU is open for that. And when we look at those things, this gives us a positive indicator. Things won't be that bad for us as a whole, as a global economy. Looking at that, however, we can also countries need to also find a T2, a supply, an alternative supplier for the next time such shocks happen, with political tension and instabilities in most regions. So we can explore Africa. Africa is becoming as oil also. However, there is mismanagement in those regions, and then I'll quick cover, and I wanna compare the European countries compared to the African states. African states has 54 countries, with the GDP sitting, for all the 54 countries, sitting at around $2 trillion. And then with the 5 leading countries being South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, which is sub-Saharan, is leading in most cases. The last time I spoke, South Saharan region is expected to grow around 3.5 percent. That's a forecast, so it's bound to change. Like I spoke, it is South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Morocco. Those countries per annum, they produce a GDP around $400 billion. Then when compared to Europe, Germany on its own produces 4.2 trillion dollars, around $4.2 trillion. It, as a country, as an individual state, compared to 54 states of Africa. So Germany is on its own, and then is big in Europe. And then we look at, and Germany is driven by car manufacturing. Car manufacturing is a big business. It's a huge business for countries, for tax collection, for sustainability. Car is a big industry. Then followed by the UK. UK is also following. Is a huge economy in the European continent, and then followed by France. And France is now negotiating on behalf of other states with the UK for trade to open in Iran, the main port, which is already being in news today. And when we look at, on a lighter note, like I said, the African economies are unstable because of instabilities. However, there is potential with the average age group. Looking at the average is around mid 20s, 25, and then when you look at Europe, it's much older, above 50 years. So there's a good way to look at it, and partnership can be done in both regions, the African region and the European regions, as we face a lot of challenges. So I think collaboration can be the best in looking at the global economy, and then taking into account countries such as Chinese with huge influence and production. They can assist looking at the Indian economy, looking at the US also with the highest consumers in the world. So it's best that we try as economists, as business people, we try working around those figures and numbers and look at how we can solve the tensions, the instabilities in order to create a value chain for economies, the global economies, and sustainability and cost of living, and how people in generally interact and work and living, and how they will live in the future and going forward. So these are the things we have to look out for. And then when we look at positive news, we can see in Infosystem, in an IT company, multinational companies acquired two pharmaceutical companies in the US, which is it's a good thing. That's meaning economic activities are still happening, and that's a good indicator. Looking at the larger scale, so we can see there's positive coming out, and then we have to be on a lookout of those things, how they perform when you acquire. And then you can now, commodities are still stable with currencies fluctuating, so we can also look at exploring those type of things, and then, but we're not out of the woods yet with oil, because in economics outlook, the feeling will only end after some time, and let's see how it goes in the next 3 months or so. But most places we look at the longer term of how things are done. We don't look at the short term. It's just minor changes. Tomorrow something can happen, and I'm hopefully the trading hubs will start trading, and we'll see improvement in people's lives. They can be able to spend on other things, not only on essentials, because of inflation and the price and the price instability around the world. And this is what we see today in the global economy. And when you look at Africa with the potential, and we look at the Europe with the resource and the structures in place, how things are done. And then we can also, on a positive note, looking at Luxembourg is a hub, a financial hub. It has surpassed 20 trillion now in assets under management. So this is great news. So we can learn from that. And then it's a small, tiny little country with less than 3 million people. It's a financial hub. Economists, analysts, business people, I think you should consider looking at what's being done right in Luxembourg and apply it in your companies. If you're a multinational, if you're an asset manager, if you're a fund manager, if you want to invest, I think probably it's best to look at regions like those, what they're doing right, what's good, they do what are they doing okay, what's so that's what we look at. And the inflation is stable around 2% those regions, such as the Germany, the Belgium. Belgium is the Eurozone. Belgium, Brussels, it's where the Eurozone is, for some. And then for African Union, it's Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the base of African Union. And then the US, the New York, New York is they call it the Silicon Valley. That's where dreams are made, billionaires are made. Your Facebook gurus, your Tesla gurus, your Amazon gurus, they all make their money from on the Silicon Valley. Thank you for listening to the podcast and the YouTube channel, and thank you for being part of the channel. Please advise, like, subscribe. You can give me whatever you want to tell me, and give me your view and how to improve. And as this is a new platform and it's for everyone to engage in, you can also type on the comments what topics you want me to cover. I'll cover them for you, as I'm an economist and analyst. It's your boy. Thank you again. It's your boy Gentroos, the DJ, your economist, your analyst, your best in the game. Thank you, and I'm out.